Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be another part of the Flying Fox doll. So I'm going to be going through how I sculpted these little feet for the Flying Fox. I am using Monsterclay for all of this Flying Fox because I am going to be molding it and casting it in resin. So usually when I do that, I use Monsterclay. Monsterclay is my favorite medium to sculpt with, and it's kind of a shame that it doesn't go hard because it's a wax-based clay. So basically what I'm doing is starting off with a really rough sort of sketch of what I want the feet to be. I have my reference photos on the computer next to me, and I did a little bit of a different way of sculpting the feet this time. So normally I usually add the fingers, but this time I decided to try and cut them out just for something different and just to try something that's out of my normal sculpting zone. So I just used a little blade to cut out the fingers, or the toes if you want to call them toes, and then I'm just sort of shaping them with my fingers. And then once I've got the really basic rough shape, I make another one just so I have the same size, because sometimes it can be a little bit difficult when you're sculpting two different sides of the feet. Symmetry sometimes is a little bit difficult, so I try to not sculpt the whole thing and stop just at the start, so I can do the whole process over again and get the same sort of shape and size. But if you can't, that's fine. We can always add and subtract some clay like I am here. It's not perfectly the same, but yeah, just making sure that if you're doing two sides of things, to keep an eye on the symmetry. And the same deal, just shaping them again into a rough shape with my fingers. And then I'm going to be doing some carving for this one. So I'm just waiting for the Monsterclay to go a little bit more hard before I start carving things, because Monsterclay sort of retains a little bit of heat when you melt it, so putting it on a cold surface will hurry up the hardening rate. And I'm using a medium Monsterclay here. You can get soft, medium or firm, and I've got two mediums actually. So I have a little loop tool that I'm going to be using for this carving. And I got this little tool at a shop in Australia called Barnes, but you can probably find it at any sculpting supply store that is around you, or online, or you can even make it. So I sort of am experimenting here, just trying to find what works for me. I know flying foxes have strange little feet, and they got sharp, pointy, long claws as well. So because I'm going to be molding this, I have to keep in mind how the mold will be made and how, when I pour the resin, how it's going to get into all the nooks and crannies. So I didn't want to make it overly complicated, because I didn't want to make an overly complicated mold as well, just for some feet for one of my dolls. So I sort of went beyond what I normally find comfortable, just to you know, you got to try sometimes. You got to try different things to keep your mind active. So I didn't want to make the fingers or the toes too thin. So I was keeping that in mind, not to make it too thin, because when you pour the resin, it has kind of a chance of snapping, I guess, if it's too thin, if you're a bit rough with the mold or demolding. And also it's a lot harder for the resin to get into all those little nooks and crannies as well when it's in the mold, and then you'll get stuck with an air bubble. So it's something always to keep in mind when you're sculpting things for molding. Another thing that I'm using is the same blade, just carving little bits and pieces when I can't get that tool into any of the crevices, I guess. So yeah, it's pretty much just a lot of carving, a lot of running the rake tool over it, and adding little blobs of clay for the knuckles. So that's the good thing about Monsterclay, is you can melt it down to a liquid sort of form, and you can add tiny little blobs onto your harder Monsterclay, and that way you can build things up that way. Just be careful not to stick your finger into the liquid Monsterclay, because it does stick to you when it's liquid, and it will burn you. So just keep that in mind. Just be a little bit careful. You can use tools like pottery tools or ends of pens or anything like that. Just not your finger. Anyway, I think I will leave this to play out. I was originally going to put this video for my patrons, but I decided to put it over on my YouTube for everyone anyway. But if you'd like to head over to my Patreon, there's heaps of tutorials, whip pictures and printables available on there. We're getting a little community happening, so it'd be really great to have you over there as well. But otherwise, you can check me out on Instagram and Facebook at Creatures of the Nat, and my shop at creaturesofnat.com. This little doll was made for a commission, but I do plan on doing more flying foxes, hence why I made the mold. And there'll be heaps more flying fox videos coming up, including the process of making it, and also the process of making the wings will be over on my Patreon for this one. So another reason to head over there. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy the rest of the sculpting video and you give this a try as well. And I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.